Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 26, 2019 Board of Trustees meeting. Call to order at 6 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Berry?
Here.
Mr. Morris? Here. Mr. Culp? Here.
Mr. Morris, if you would read the Operation Inherent Resolve and Freedom Sentinel casualties, please.
Sergeant Holly Belinsky, Operation Spartan Shield, March 7th, 2019, 37 of Pinkyville, Illinois. Assigned to the 657th Transportation Detachment, Mount Vernon, Illinois. Specialist Jackson Johnson, Operation Spartan Shield, March 7th, 2019, age 20 of Hillsborough, Missouri, assigned to the 657th Transportation Detachment, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Captain, you have police casualties?
Good evening. The following are the casualties from March 13th through March 24th, 2019. Corporal Daniel Groves, 52, Colorado State Police, Colorado. End of watch March 13th, 2019. Deputy Sheriff Ryan Thompson, 42, Kittitas County Sheriff's Office, Washington. End of watch March 19, 2019. Police Officer Paul Rutherford, 51, Phoenix Police Department, Arizona. End of watch March 21st, 2019. And Deputy Sheriff Peter Herrera, 35, El Paso County Sheriff's Office, Texas. End of watch March 24, 2019.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
We'll move right into new business and begin with our department head reports, beginning with our acting administrator, Mr. Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing formal tonight, and if you have no questions for me, I will turn it over to Captain Stegemeyer.
Good evening again, Board. The Police Department has no new business for you this evening, but if you have any questions, I'm here to answer anything you may have.
I'd like to officially put on the record to thank Captain Stegemeyer and Chief Hess for allowing me to ride along with a couple of our sergeants and officers, get a lay of the land of the police department, and see the fine work that they're doing. It was very informational, and thank you.
It's nice to have you, sir.
Would you like to ride sometime, Doug?
I'd love to ride sometime. I'd like to know what was the highlight of what was something that might have surprised you?
Well, it was very informational. It was not a busy day, which was a good thing because I had a good chance to talk with the officers and see some of their challenges. So they drove me around and saw some of the potential hot spots that have been in the past and talked about how they regularly police and focus on those issues. We did have a pullover of a young man who made an inefficient right-hand turn, I should say, and maybe got a high rate of speed without knowing there was an officer in close proximity. So he was given a tutorial on the proper workings of the road, which was nice. But it was just good to see and it's good to see we have a rotation of officers that's covering all of the township at all times, and knowing how they're zoned and that we've got one car available if somebody's involved in a stop, then we can continue to cover that zone. Though our police force is not staffed and funded the way we would like it to be, they're doing a fine job with the resources they have.
Excellent. Mr. Mayberry.
Good evening. I don't have any items for the board tonight, but are there any questions for Public Works? Thank you.
Mr. Snyder?
Good evening, Board. I do have one item for your consideration tonight. It's Resolution 10-2019. This is a resolution to support the continuation of a tax abatement within the enterprise zone for Brixey and Meyer. We met with the Tax Incentive Review Council last week. They did recommend continuation of this tax abatement. We are in year 7 of the 10-year abatement on this project. This project has generated approximately 16 new jobs and brought about $2 million of payroll into the township. This particular property is within the Miami Crossing Joint Economic Development District, so that payroll is a direct benefit to the township in this particular case. So with that, if you have any questions, you do have a resolution before you for consideration. And that's all that I have for you, unless you have any other questions on any other items. So.
No, I would just like to comment, I appreciate that we are tracking these agreements and making sure that the deliverables are actually being delivered. You hear far too often on communities giving tax breaks for job creation and then no jobs materialize. I know Brixey and Myers is a fine firm, and I'm on their mailing list. I see they're constantly hiring new people, so I'm glad to see that they're exceeding expectations.
Nothing else, Mr. Henkelman?
Thank you. I have 3 things for the board this evening, Resolution 11, Resolution 12, and Resolution 13. All 3 of these are potential appointments to our boards. The first 2 you will see are appointments to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the third is an appointment to the Zoning Commission. Resolution 11, 2019 is a resolution to appoint a full-time member or a regular member to our Board of Zoning Appeals. So I will say staff did interview all 3 applicants, and you will see within your packets there is a memo as well as some information from the applicants, including a letter of interest and a resume. So the first applicant, or the first person who was interested, and we are recommending to the board this evening, is Zach Dickerson to serve as a full member. The term that he would be filling is for a member who unfortunately passed away, so it is not a full term. That term would end December 31st, 2021. If you have any questions on Mr. Dickerson, I'd be more than happy to answer any of them. If not, the second resolution I have before you this evening is 12-2019. It's a resolution to appoint an alternate member of our Board of Zoning Appeals. Unfortunately, the township has had a vacancy for the alternate on the BZA for at least 5 years, a little over. This vacancy is due to the BZA. Generally, the vacancy rate is a little higher on the BZA. It's not that it's less interesting, it's very, very important, but that board generally sees people turn over a little more than our zoning commission. So you will see this is a resolution to appoint Glenn Zink as an alternate member of our Board of Zoning Appeals. And as an alternate, that position is only put in place for 1 year. So he would actually be up again December 31st, 2019, at the end of this year, for consideration again for a formal additional year beyond that. Again, with that, you'll see a memo and his information as well within the packet. If you have any questions on Mr. Zink, I'd be happy to answer those. If not, the final resolution before you is 13-2019, a resolution to appoint a zoning commission alternate member. As I said, with the BZA, our zoning commission does have an alternate member position available. Full-time members, we have 5 full-time members and 1 alternate. So this alternate position would be for 1 year, ending again December 31st, 2019. So you will see that we are recommending Amy Jouch, sorry Amy, as an alternate member of the zoning commission. She has also provided her letter of interest and her CV within the board's packet for your consideration. Again, we did meet with all these members and discuss the position, the time commitments, and the interest in the position, and feel that all 3 of these members would be adequate for those positions. And again, the resolution 13 is for the alternate position of the zoning commission, which with all 3 of these would put both our Board of Zoning Appeals and our zoning commission at full capacity. So we would have 5 regular members and 1 alternate on both boards. If you have any questions on any of the applicants or any of the process with the zoning commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals, I'd be more than happy to answer those. Thank you very much.
Mr. McCord.
Good evening, Board. I don't have anything formal for you at this time, although we'll have a couple of topics in the working session later on.
I would like to request consideration, and this is not necessarily all for you, Clay.
Okay.
Last year, in sitting on the investment committee as the president of the board, we had a discussion and looked at ways in which we could maximize a return on. We don't have a lot of surplus funds, but those that we do are typically invested in certificates of deposit. I learned in sitting in that investment committee role that the state has rules that don't allow us to bundle those dollars to get higher rates of return. So we end up buying a lot of very small CDs that get very little interest. I recently heard and read some things that our new state treasurer, Robert Sprague, was saying, that he was looking at finding new ways to help local government. It might be a good time to reach out and have the investment committee, perhaps Aaron and you and Doug can request the treasurer come meet with us and see if there's any way that they can help us find ways to earn more interest on what surplus monies we do have.
I will. Thank you.
President, turn back over to you.
Thank you, sir. We will now open the meeting to any public comments. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of the meeting and begin votes on resolutions.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 010-2019, a resolution to support the continuation of a tax abatement within the enterprise zone for Brixey and Meyer Incorporated, Eagles Real Estate Group LLC, 2991 Newmark Drive. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees approves the continuation of the Ohio Enterprise Zone Agreement approved by Resolution 152-2010 with all the terms and conditions as stated therein with Montgomery County and Brixey and Meyer Eagles Real Estate Group LLC.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 011-2019, a resolution to appoint a Board of Zoning Appeals member. Therefore, be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees appoints Zach Dickerson to serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals as a full member to complete a term ending on December 31st, 2021, pending completion of a background check.
Second. Any discussion on the resolution?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 012-2019, a resolution to appoint a Board of Zoning Appeals alternate member. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees appoints Glenn Zink to serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals as an alternate member for a term of 1 year ending on December 31st, 2019.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
No, I'm trying, it says it's serving for a term of 1 year, but it's not serving for a term of 1 year. It's serving for a few months, finishing out a term.
Correct. The term itself is a one-year term, so he is serving the one-year term. He is just only going to be serving 9 months
I just
of
want
the
to make
one-year
sure
term.
that that is not in conflict if someone were to come back and say, it says it's a 1 year term. Because it's really not a 1 year term. I mean, I understand he's
yes.
filling a vacancy on a term. See what I mean?
Yes. They're probably, you could probably just clarify that, and then we'll be sure to update language in the future.
So we will make sure that it is understood that this term is ending on December 31st, 2019. It will not be a full year term. It will not be a full year served. It's finishing out the term.
Yes, and that will be the same for the next resolution as well.
Any, I just want to make sure we are covered, especially when we have council in the room, so. Any other discussion on the resolution? Okay. I think we're okay.
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 013-2019, a resolution to appoint a zoning commission alternate member. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees appoints Amy Jauk to serve on the zoning commission as an alternate member for a term of 1 year ending on December 31st, 2019, with the same stipulations we just discussed.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
We have no public hearings. We'll move into elected officials' comments. Mr. Newell.
I have nothing.
Mr. Morris.
None.
Mr. Culp.
I have none.
And I have nothing this evening. We will make a motion to move into work session at 6:15 PM.
I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
All right, we are now back in regular session. I make a motion, we approve resolution number 014-2019, a resolution authorized Miami Township, Montgomery County, Ohio, the Township, to issue bonds in the amount of not to exceed $3,400,000 for the purpose of redeeming its limited tax general obligation transportation improvement bonds, Series 2008 Kings Ridge Road Improvement Bonds dated September 4, 2008, and issued in the original principal amount of $4,885,000, refunding the Montgomery County Transportation Improvement District, Ohio Transportation Improvement Special Obligation Bond Series 2008A Kings Ridge Drive Project dated September 4, 2008, and issued in the original principal amount of $4,885,000 to approve a preliminary official statement, to authorize the preparation, use, and execution of an official statement, and to approve and authority the execution and delivery of a certificate of fiscal officer, a bond purchase agreement, a continuing disclosure certificate, and a bond registrar agreement, and other related matters in connection therewith. Therefore, be it resolved, Section 1 through 24.
Should make him read it all.
Need a second.
I second.
Any discussion on the motion?
I think while we're on the record, it need to be pointed out, that was a very long resolution. What we're doing here is we issued some 20-year bonds back in 2008 at a higher interest rate than is available on the market now. We are going to be able to pay those off and retire them in lieu of writing some new bonds at lower interest rates, and save the taxpayers $335,000 in debt service over the next 10 years. But we are not extending the debt. We are not taking on any new debt. We're just paying off the debt with less interest.
Mr. Berry?
Aye.
Mr. Morris?
Aye.
Mr. Culp?
Aye.
And seeing no other business in front of the board, I make a motion we adjourn at 7:41. Yeah, that's just cool.